Hi everybody, it's Teresa from Dodge Nature Center, and time for another Nature to Go. Now if you remember, last week we had a mystery. There were all these bones in this area, and I asked you if you thought you could figure out what was going on here. The first question I wanted you to think about is, what animal could this have been? And you might have been able to figure out right from the very first one, when you saw the skull. Eyes, big eyes on the side of the head. This long nose. When we look at the teeth, we can see that they're flat. This is an herbivore, a plant eater. The other clue was the foot here. I'm willing to bet when you saw this foot, that was a dead giveaway too. So this is a white-tailed deer that died here. But that brings up a second important question. What made it die, and what made it die here? And what we think could have happened, because we're surrounded by all of these busy streets, maybe it got hit by a car. And maybe when it got hit by the car, it came into a wooded area and then just eventually laid down and died. That could have happened. It could have been sick and it just came in here and laid down and died. But what we think is so cool, the staff has been talking about this, and what we think is so cool is the fact that it was laying right here near where there are trails. It's near one of the buildings, and we didn't know about it. So there's a lot of cool mysteries that exist in nature. Now it might seem really sad, oh, the poor deer died. And when we look at it and we see most of what's left behind are just the bones, all the soft tissue is gone, there's a good thing about that. Because that means this animal, even though it died, provided food for a lot of other animals. Probably what came along first was something like the coyote. And the coyote would have been able to open up that body cavity and get at a lot of the meat that was inside. And once that was opened up, all kinds of other animals would come along and eat. Even little things like the chickadees. They'll come along and they'll eat the meat off of the bones. It's available food and they adjust their diet to what foods are available. Now, these bones are laying here for now, and they won't stay here forever, because even the bones will disappear eventually. They take a lot longer to decompose than the flesh did. But the bones will eventually decompose too. And the other thing that happens that's really neat is that animals will come along and chew on the bones. Now, the longer bones like ones that are here in this upper part of the leg and things, there's marrow in there, and that's tasty, and they want to eat that. But even these smaller bones, the edges, the things that point off, like on the vertebrae, these edges that point off, they're going to get chewed on by things like mice and voles and squirrels, because there's something really valuable in the bones that those animals need. They're looking for calcium. Now, we get our calcium from dairy products. They obviously have stopped getting any kind of dairy product as soon as they stopped nursing with their mother's milk. So they have to get calcium some other place. And they'll do that by chewing on the bones. And that's why a lot of times we don't find bones in the woods. They're dragged away. They look a lot like the sticks that are here on the ground, so you may not even recognize them as bones. But they get eaten by the other animals. They get used that way. So this is a very cool mystery, and we've been able to solve some parts of the mystery. We know what it is. We may not know for sure how it died, but we know that it was then eaten by other animals that live here at the Nature Center, and it kept them alive. Very cool mystery.
And just when I thought all the mysteries had been talked about, the coolest thing happened. I picked up the bones and looked down at the ground, and I saw these. This is a carrion beetle, and it was inside the leg bones of the deer. They overwinter as adults, and once it warmed up, they must have crawled out of the ground and into the bones to start feeding on all the tissue that was left behind. It's not anything I would have ever expected to have found this early in the season. Another cool mystery connected to our deer.
Well, go out and look for your own nature mysteries, even in your backyard. What cool things can you find happening there? Thanks for joining me for Nature to Go, and we'll talk to you again next time.